We're live on the Rich Lieberman Media Pulse, Monday, August the 12th. And boy, oh boy, do we have news to talk about. And this involves radio. Now, in New York, the big news is WCBS, which is the second all news station to WINS. They're owned by Odyssey, and they are gone. ESPN New York is taking over the frequency. It's called an LNA in broadcast lingo. And this is significant news because this is a New York station, mind you, right? New York, number one market. And they're going to be taken over by ESPN, which is just incredibly bad news for a whole lot of radio stations. And I'm going to tell you why. Look, it's no longer a secret about terrestrial AM radio. The only stations that are surviving, folks, are sports stations, various stations in markets where they don't have a lot of competition, and which gets to San Francisco. And KCBS is in a whole lot of trouble. And they were in a whole lot of trouble before this breaking news on Monday, because KCBS, as you know, my feelings for the last few years, it is a completely station failure, run amok, mismanagement, incompetent hires. The people that are on the air, by and large, just absolutely horrific. I'm being very, very kind. This is supposed to be a major market, the number 4 market. And yet we have this dreck that is on KCBS. Now, New York, WCBS. They're the second fiddle to WINS. You know, the real big news, give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world. Well, this is really, really bad news. Look, Odyssey owns all these stations. And Odyssey, any moment now, will declare bankruptcy. They just simply can't pay the bills. This is a big station. So this is a sort of a preview of what is to take place. Now, for me, what I have heard, as I predicted for KNBR, and that's owned by Cumulus, another disaster company that doesn't know broadcasting whatsoever. They're going to kill their own product any day soon. KNBR, you'll turn it on and it won't be what you hear, which in and of itself is dreck. But back to Odyssey. Odyssey is like penny stock. Their holdings are diminished. They can barely pay for some of even the good stations like KNX in LA, KYW in Philly. These are all heralded news stations. And now WCBS going to ESPN New York. Again, Bay Area consequences. Any day now, KCBS could be a goner. The Game, 95.7, which is the FM sports station, The Game, they're on life support, owned by Odyssey. Now, if they can't make WCBS hum, how do you think it's going to be out here? How are they going to make 95.7 The Game hum? How do you think they're going to keep KCBS going? They don't have the money. Radio, terrestrial, AM especially, is a goner. Only time will tell when the disaster hits. I hate to be the person who says all that, but it's just simply not happening. Sports perhaps saves, by and large, a lot of these stations, but you still have to have the product. You still have to have quality. You still have to have competent people on the air, which is why I often criticize KNBR, because they have this dreck. They have these idiots, these Uber drivers, Uber, whatever you want to call it, drivers. They have these has-beens that go on the air that are not quality, that are not basically supported. Now you have this development. This is a big to-do, folks, in the broadcast world. I don't know how they make it. 95.7 The Game, death knell. KCBS, death knell. They simply don't have the product. They don't have the management. In good times, They have inept leadership. Everybody under the sun is leaving, retiring, taking buyouts. Why do you think you have KGO retreads like Brett Burkhart, like Nipsey, what's her name? Nikki Maduro, Pat Thurston hanging on? Either they have an ego, they have a spouse that is working, and they just don't go away. They want to be on the radio, but they're not helping the bottom line. KCBS is basically a monopoly. They still can't make it right. And their ratings are tumbling. I've had former people that work there, some really, really influential people. They themselves, they know it's dreck. Most of them who have a career, most of them who have some depth and chops, they're all splitting. They're retiring. They got the hell out. Look at how many people have left just in the last couple of years. Bunger, and a lot of these people, look, they were going to retire, but they didn't have to. It wasn't mandatory. They could have stayed aboard, but they want to leave. Bunger, Bob Melrose, a couple of people were let go. Rebecca Corral, the overnight guy, what was his name? All these people that used to work at KCBS. Anyway, they're left. They have left, bought out, taken early retirement. All the quality people have moved on. And now you have these, reporters that frankly shouldn't be near a microphone. The news director who commits a crime every day she shows up. She's on her way out the door. They're going to give her a promotion. Can you believe that? So they're already advertising for the news director job. Pays $100,000 a year. Yeah, good luck with getting a hire for that, living in San Francisco, unless they're married to somebody who's working, doesn't have an ego. In any event, KCBS is on the death knell because of this development on Monday regarding WCBS, which is going to become ESPN New York. ESPN New York is the radio entity, and they are buying the frequency, leasing the frequency of the former WCBS. Can't make it. Odyssey is in deep dog doo. And I've said this as much. The radio as we know it is becoming more and more dispensable. Advertisers are flocking to elsewhere, like streaming, like the internet. You name it, everything but radio. This is a big development, ladies and gentlemen, especially for Odyssey. They are the second biggest radio distributor to Cumulus. And Cumulus is on another death knell. Any day now, a second bankruptcy will be announced. And I don't know where it goes. There's only so much debt that you could sell off and keep running, which is why I said that KNBR was on borrowed time. They literally had to get an infusion of cash from corporate because they couldn't pay the bills, the day-to-day operations, the fact that they have mediocrity upon mediocrity. They have producers that are getting paid minimum wage to work as on-air people. Hell, they drug out the 20-something-old son of Mike Silver to host a sports phone on the night because they could pay him $50. It's not a union station, it's Canberra. It hasn't been union. They cannot pay the piper. This development, this is a significant development, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not happy about it. I'm just giving you the news and my analysis, but it does not portend for a green future. There's no moolah. There's a lot of, shall we say, red ink that's already there, and KCBS affected. 95.7 The Game, the sports FM station, affected. And you're going to see layoffs, more layoffs. You're going to see, it's a shit zone. Nobody wants to work in radio today. And look, we don't have any radio in San Francisco. I'm not happy about that. I'm not gleeful, but it's the development. You have the only people on the air are dreck, has-beens, nothings, overrated tonsils who have nothing better to do. The good people are leaving or retiring or getting out so they can get their buyout, their parachute, their retirement before the death knell is official. So, I feel sorry for a lot of the people, but I also don't feel sorry for some of these people who have such massive egos, they're afraid to vacate the building. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Elvis has left the building, and it's not a pretty picture. It is the fat Elvis, circa 1972, the guy that used to perform in Las Vegas, and he was about 70 pounds overweight. And while he was singing songs, he'd ask the woman in the front row, not for her underwear, but for the meatloaf that was on her dinner plate so we can eat it. The fat old Elvis. That is what radio is right now, 2024. I am just giving you the truth. Sometimes it's not a pretty picture. And yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, it is, by my regard, a total, historic, 100% abomination. See you later.